my second sci-fi book ever. She sounds like she has a stick up her. Cut a bunch of these out. I'm done. I just finished Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo, so let's talk about it. This book absolutely destroyed me in the last like 40 pages because if you know, you know. I'm absolutely devastated. Anyways, I really enjoyed this book. Although I did like Six of Crows a little bit better. I gave this a 4.5 stars and Six of Crows is 5 stars. I just like the plot of one single heist in Six of Crows better. But I think the character development in this book absolutely devoured. I just love that we got to know the characters' backstories and got to know a little bit more about their families more in this book. And I think the ending was also well done and satisfying. And I did tab just like my first book. I just highlighted some quotes that I liked and from all the characters and all the romance quotes. One of my favorite quotes from this book was, let me read it to you. He said it again. I would come for you, and if I couldn't walk, I'd crawl to you. And now I am starting Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I actually started this back in 2023, and I got to about halfway, and then I just never finished it because I don't know. And the movie is coming out on March 20th, so I want to read this before the movie comes out. And I actually started this a couple days ago. I only read like 8 pages, so I'm starting on page 9. A lot of people recommend listening to this on audiobook, but this is actually, I found this out the other day, this is actually an Audible exclusive audiobook, so I couldn't really find anything on my library or any other websites but to buy the Audible version, which I do not want to support Amazon, so I am just gonna read this. Hey guys, it is actually Sunday. I actually found the free audiobook for Project Hail Mary on what platform? I don't want to say in case they get copyrighted and it get taken down. So to protect its space, I'm not going to say where I found it from because I have heard that someone tried to upload it to this platform and it got struck down. That's why I never looked for it on there. But today I just suddenly thought about searching it up again because I feel like I've been doing so much stuff where I could be listening to the audiobook and get so much progress in reading, but I just don't have the audiobook. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna look it up. And I looked it up and it was actually there, so it's super exciting. I'm gonna listen to that. And I have been wanting to make star garlands. I got this from Michael's the other day and I have some strings just sitting around my room. I already have my template star cut out, so I'm just gonna cut a bunch of these out and make a star garland. I'm super excited. I've been seeing it all over and I really want to decorate my room. So I'm gonna do this and listen to the audiobook. I read a little bit last night, but I fell asleep. But I'm currently on page 190. So we're nearing the halfway point.
circular, craggy bit sticking up out of one of his fingers. Yeah, it's the same guy. If you looked at a rock for several...
It's an earth saying from a song. I close my eyes and a generator. But it's a problem question, not a problem, a solution. I leap to my feet. The Beatles. My ship has 4 smaller ships aboard called Beatles. They're made to take in the partition and taps the divider. Yes, Mom. Sarcasm. You sleep, I watch.
Today is Monday and it is a federal holiday, so we get the day off from work. And it's currently almost 10 o'clock and I have just been listening to the audiobook while making my coffee and getting ready for the day. And yesterday I listened so much while making my star garland that I got to like page 870, which is 200 pages in a day that I listened to. That's pretty crazy. Like when I opened the book, I was like around here. At the end of the night, I was like this much done. And I was like, anyways, audiobooks are crazy. And now I only have less than 100 pages left. I was reading a little bit last night before sleeping, but I only read like 10 pages. And then this morning, before I picked up the camera, I read like another 5 pages. And I have 90 pages left. And I think I can finish this today, which is super exciting. And my thoughts about this book so far, even though I only have this much left, is that I still think it's a little bit boring, and I also don't think it's as sci-fi beginner friendly as people make it out to be. There's still a lot of sciencey stuff that I don't quite understand, and I find myself just skimming through the sciencey part, and I still don't really understand how things work. And also, as someone who doesn't really read sci-fi at all, it's really hard to imagine what the equipment looks like. Like, I know what a spaceship looks like, but if you're telling me there's like a cylinder made out of stainless steel with like a twist cap, inside there's 2 sides of a wall with like insulated gas, like, I don't know what that means. And I also don't know what that looks like. So imagining things has also been kind of hard, which makes it kind of difficult for me to really be immersed in the book if I can't really imagine what I'm looking at. But I will say that the audiobook is helping a lot, and I do like the voice actor, and I liked Rocky's voice in the audiobook. So I'm just really grateful that the audiobook is kind of saving me, because I cannot imagine like actually reading all that physically. Also, why does the author make all the female characters kind of insufferable? Especially Dr. Strat. She is so annoying, and just she sounds like she has a stick up her ass. I don't know why she is so stern and standoffish and cold and just mean. I don't know. I don't really like that. We already get so little female perspective in this book, and then you make the lead female character insufferable. At the same time, I'm also amazed on how the author came up with this, and honestly just all these sci-fi authors, how do you even come up with this with like so much science involved and figuring out how the science fit into your logic and your like magic system? Like, that's crazy. It's just really impressive. So shout out to all the sci-fi authors. You are on a different plane of writing. At the end of chapter 23, it's kind of crazy and it's making me really angry. Like, why did they make him do that? That's low-key really cruel and unethical, and I really don't like Strat.
Overlap between the fuel system and the crew compartment. There are coils filled with astrophage to warm it up.
Wait. 5 more pages. What? Aww. That's so sweet. That's a sweet ending. I'm done. I just finished Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, and I think this is a 4 stars. I think my opinion on this book still stands from what I said earlier. I did find a majority of the parts boring, especially the sciencey part. This is my second sci-fi book ever, and I still think there was just too much information and sciencey stuff that I don't understand, which makes it hard to imagine the world and kind of understand how they got to where they are. And honestly, half of the book is just the main character troubleshooting his equipment. And maybe that's interesting to you, but to me it was pretty repetitive, and especially when I don't really know what's going on technicality wise. So that was a barrier while reading this book. But I did really like the character development of Ryland Grace, our main character. I think he was very well written, and I feel like I really know this character and all his deepest thoughts and insecurities and fears. I think he is a really good character. And overall, I had a good time reading it. I do definitely think the audiobook helped a lot. I think it would have been very dragged on and almost hard to read this entire thing, especially it's close to 500 pages. And I don't think I would recommend this book to someone who doesn't read sci-fi. The other sci-fi book that I read last year was Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, and I think that was a better sci-fi book and easier to understand sci-fi, beginner-friendly sci-fi book than this one. So I would definitely suggest that one over this one for beginner sci-fi readers. But if you're not specifically looking for sci-fi and you never read or barely read sci-fi, I wouldn't recommend this. I'll probably just recommend something else from a different genre. This probably wouldn't be the first book that comes to my mind when I'm suggesting books. Unless you're like super interested in actual science and how things work in our world, then I think you'll like this. But as someone who is not super deep into that realm, I just thought it was okay. But I'm still super excited to see the movie when it comes out. I am excited to see how Ryan Gosling represents our main character and how Rocky is represented in the movie, because I just have no imagination when I read this book. So it would be cool to see the book come to life. That is my review and reading vlog on Project Hail Mary. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and thank you for watching. I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!